All right, traders. Hey, welcome on back to close things out this week, this Friday, October 3rd, baseball season, playoff season. Great to have all of us though here. Otherwise, Thomas, John, Kevin, Jeff, Bill, Anna, Leda, all of our students and members alike, rejoining us inside our live trading room. Joining us back inside social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc., popping up lower left, right below the avatar. At Cyber Trading You, just be a friend, tell a friend. Look to hit the follow or subscribe button down below. The Yankees finally doing pretty good here in playoff time. Hopefully that only continues. Like 24-year-old last night threw like 13 strikeouts. Crazy. So hopefully that keeps going, and hopefully this market keeps on not only moving up, but just providing opportunity. Remember, we could short, we could follow the inverse tickers. So right at 1 o'clock, for as well as we have been doing this whole week, just continuing to push up this morning, I don't even know if there was news that came out, but a big pullback, perhaps people just taking their money and running before the weekend, maybe a little uncertainty as far as, if there's going to be more delays about, the shutdown at least. Let's see. Or it could be, people yapping. It could be Powell or otherwise his vice chair, Jefferson. Whole bunch of comments here at 2 o'clock, and at 1 o'clock here, another guy here, Logan. Fed Chair Logan, I guess you're making some comments. So that had to have just come out a moment ago. And with that, bit of sell off here heading into the afternoon. Now, with that, Tesla's been getting beat up today. And from yesterday, we were talking about the big support level right off 420. It's making a bounce here so far. And hopefully, this only continues to build up higher lows from here. There is the thought where if the markets continue to peel back, then perhaps a stock like Tesla that is negative today, that is down nearly 3% today, it could continue. It's still holding higher lows here modestly well, but there is a bit of a gap that it could try and fill over time. If there's any news that comes out over the weekend, let's just say with the shutdown, or even furthermore, like I'm not trying to fear monger or like project, but hey, what if something bad happens overseas, internationally, Russia, Ukraine, China, Taiwan, just whatever it might be, right? You never know. It might just lead to that next leg down for Tesla for it to fill the gap. Now, a stock like Nvidia, up until the other day, it actually wasn't, as strong. Then the other day came along and it broke new all-time highs, pulling back a little bit here, filled a little bit of a gap there just today, and there could be more downside room here if we happen to see the markets pull back. Palantir also, right? I think Palantir, yeah, this is down 7%, down the most out of all of these larger cap name brand stocks. So I don't mind at least adding a Palantir just immediately to our list. It's volatile enough, right? We appreciate the volatility. It's down a lot, and it's much closer to the lows that compared to some of the other trades. So you got the PLTR trade. Now, also on the way up, though, this is where I talked about some of the inverse tickers. If you can't short, if you're not an options trader, then don't try and be one immediately. You got to learn how to trade the stock before the option, but that's where some of these inverse tickers like PLTZ, this is double leveraged and goes opposite to what PLTR does. I actually see here on my loser side here, just to keep on this side for a second. We'll go right back to the gainers list and do our normal scan through. But HIMZ is down a lot today also, which means hims and hers getting beat up right now. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to add HIMS, HIMS. I don't think that there is an inverse ETF. And if there is, it probably doesn't trade a lot of volume. I haven't really seen that really too much on our radar there. So you just got the other one that goes with it. This is just the complementary ETF, double leverage. So this is down twice as much. Roblox down a little bit there too. But I'll tell you what, let's go right from top to bottom, like normal. The ANRO is a nice push from earlier today. That was more of a morning call out, morning runner. Wasn't on the main watch list. It kind of took off out of nowhere here at 9:30, but from there provided for a beautiful move. Reversal time around 10:30. This one reversed pretty much right at 10:30, 10:25 in the morning. Reverse. I mean, it's still holding higher lows, granted, right? So it is moving back on up right here. I don't mind just adding this back to our list for the time being. Holding good trend. If this ends up failing and dumping off during this meeting, I'll scrap it. That'll be easy. This is the type of stock you want to stay away from just going into the afternoon, unless if it's going to break a higher high. Why do I say that? Well, look what happened here, right? We're not trying to play casino. We're trying to, make educated decisions with our money. This is already pretty, risky in terms of risk management, and we're putting our money on the line. So that's where you want to focus on a stock that has a good order book, good spread, maybe something more expensive, but either way, $1.90 trade here. You got big iceberg at 190, big iceberg at 2. It's not really as close to the highs though. So, this one in particular, I'm probably not going to put on our list. The QUBT trade. This we'll just cover here pretty quickly. This is the ETF that goes with it, the BX. But QUBT, I went over this in our live trading room early this morning in pre-market hours. I posted this exact chart here to you before the breakout happened. But just pointing out that we had some pretty good resistance long term. Actually, there we go. There we go. I had to go back to a monthly chart actually there. So, just going back to the closing candle here, closing price of this candle back from 2018, that held pretty well last month. You had this wick as well, which complements it. So the combination of those two prices together, I've been waiting to kind of see this nip and test resistance. And well, nice breakout today at least. But going into the afternoon, well, ended up reversing around the same time as a lot of these other trades. And the news or comments that came out from the Fed. I'm pulling back a little bit right now. This has some really interesting short squeeze potential, though, because it's not only breaking above resistance from just the horizontal chart here or horizontal lines on the chart, but otherwise, looking at the day, looking at the trend line here, one high here, continued, and that's this one here that it could try and pop up towards. And then even going from this peak, going down. Well, it nipped it today. It kind of broke over, it pulled back. So a little resistance there at first. But the more it keeps crashing into that, it should look to make the next leg up. Just don't forget about this QUBT trade, folks. Just keep it on your side list going forward. Give it as much respect as you would Rigetti or QBTS, the other quantum stocks. What was this one? GIPR, Generation Income Properties. A little pop and drop early, like crazy hours early this morning it was, or maybe overnight. Yeah, like 7:30 at night, pop and drop. It's going back up though right here. So that part we appreciate more than anything. Resistance though right now, right at 154, pretty much where it's trading at. I'll add it. GIPR, maybe this could turn into our afternoon runner. All right, let's see if there's anything else looking good here, folks, from this gainer side, though. I mean, the markets are pretty wonky, so we'll see if there's anything holding up better. Plug was a good move yesterday, and even better move today. So, we'll keep Plug in mind. Don't forget about Plug going into next week. Don't forget about the LAC trade going into next week. This looks a little washed right now, so that's where I say we're probably not going to put this on our afternoon, but write it down for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. R going right back on up here. Good direction, good order book. So that easily enough, just gonna plop that on the watch list there. There are some other robotic companies, moving up and down a little bit here throughout the day. Ondas, a nice little push earlier today. Kind of grouping the robotic companies and the drone and the air taxi and the self-driving and all those kind of lumped up in one. All these like viral sector type of trades. So Jobby's up a little bit right now. That just pushed. And Archer's up even more. There might be news on Archer, at least for right now. So ECHR, come on down. We'll add you there too. KULR, I called this out earlier today. I forgot about it for a moment. A little sluggish right now. Not as close to the 567, 570-ish area high of the day. So, maybe right now we'll keep that on our side list. OVID trying to go back up right now. I appreciate more of the afternoon move than anything there. Maybe I could add that. Let's just kind of skim through the rest of the gainer side, though, here. Just kind of cherry pick. Like, this is where we put the ABVE trade on our watch list yesterday, 24 hours ago when I was doing this very meeting. Like, almost literally 24 hours ago, just a couple minutes shy, 241 yesterday. But, this broke out. And I thought, all right, maybe this could run. Well, right place, wrong time. Ended up making that better move here today, of course. So, I don't mind re-adding it now at this point, right? It's proving itself. Rumble, pop and drop. We'll pass on that. Rigetti, pop. This thing is just going straight back on up right now. Now it'll take me back to the QUBT. I wanted to see if this was suddenly making a nice squeeze back up all of a sudden. Hard to ignore Rigetti. We'll add the RGTI trade itself here. The other quantums we'll pass on for right now. IO and Q's not doing terrible, though. Oscar, this one's looking pretty good. Oscar finally starting to set up for a pretty good swing move over time. It's had a pretty shitty long-term chart for a little while, even with it grinding up the last month or so. This is where I tell you all the time, all of our students here, let this stock prove itself to us. I'd have no problem waiting to see this either, flip this into a support or otherwise. This is where I was saying, wait for this to even just break above these highs here. Once it breaks above these highs, then you're looking much better for a cleaner squeeze. So let's normalize taking trades from higher prices, at least if there's reason to, if there's logic and if there's common sense behind it. I'm not going to just jump in, obviously, but if there's good reason for me to take a trade there, absolutely. RCAT pop and drop, QS pop and drop and popping back up, but not enough. All right. I'll tell you what here, folks. That's like kind of it from the gainer side. I'm sure there's others. I am sure that there's one or two more you could have me look at. If there's anything that looks incredible that's right at or near the highs, you let me know. You let me know there, folks. I mean, Shopify, I could potentially squeeze there on our list at the end, but a little expensive. All right, so now we're on the losers list. I mean, if I just said that was expensive, then I'll say the same thing on Roblox. This is down a lot though. LVS, Las Vegas Sands. This is like the second or third day this week I've seen casino stocks getting hit, right? LVS dropping. I think they dropped on Tuesday, it was. MGM, yeah, these casino stocks tanked earlier this week. It was on Tuesday. MGM, Win. DraftKings got beat up bad. So it's actually positive today comparing it to yesterday's closing price, but it's making lower highs. This is not looking good. Definitely a big lower high here, just long term. So back in this range it goes. I think SRAD was the other one. As this is down. Oh, it's there. Okay. So I still might be able to capture this trade here at least. I'm not going to put this one in particular on our main list, but just know that if this breaks this neckline here, I could easily see this dropping down a hell of a lot more. It could be a swing trade, could be a swing short if this support level breaks. So I was thinking about that for a little bit. Just going back to the other casino stocks, with LVS mainly, this is down the most. So I'll add LVS and the others will kind of just we'll focus on for Monday. All right. Let me see. Anything else here, folks? AMD's down maybe like 3%. Tesla's down a little bit there too. Yeah, AMD just broke a new low a moment ago there. That's pretty weak. I mean, even Nvidia did before too, but that made a slingshot though. I feel like the markets are going to be pretty exhausted heading into the afternoon, folks. Even with this drop, I mean, that adds more towards the reason for this to be a tired market going into the end of the day. We'll see what Monday brings at least. But listen, coin's going back up a little bit. IBIT is still pretty lively, so maybe we could focus on some of the Bitcoin trades at least. Hood's flying back on up actually. Going back to like IREN. Yeah, out of like all of the quote unquote Bitcoin stocks, at least for today and right now, I wouldn't mind focusing on the IREN out of all of them. Later, as always, appreciate you. Love you as always. Simulcast, YouTube, as well as inside our live trading room. Archer Chuck, there we go. I just saw your post now, so I just got that one there. Yeah, Jeff, there we go. Let's go Yankees, Well, New York, New York. Anna, OKLO, it's shaking around a bit, Anna. That 130 level is pretty strong, $10 prices, so pop and drop today. This was the first time it actually nipped and tested this as resistance. It generally held under it yesterday, but first test, best test, no surprise. It was a false breakout and then rejected. BMNR, it's not even positive yet, but even if it were, I'd want it to be closer to that like 58 high there, John. There's other stocks, and hey, if you're in this one already, I'm rooting you on, right? I always say that to anyone, but at least for the time being, I'd rather focus on trades that are either closer to the highs or closer to the lows. Yeah, Roberto, I did add the HIMS trade. I at least added the HIMS to our list. That's on the way down, potential short there. All right, folks. Last call. Let me know here. I'll check out Benzinga Pro before we call it a wrap. There's the quantum trades going back on up. QBTS there included. IO and Q included. Oh, I forgot about Pfizer. Oh, look at Pfizer a little bit there. Like a Rocket Lab and ASTS. Forgot about those. ANRO is popping even more. So we already talked about that. That one's good to go there. EPSM is the freak show casino stock. I have no care for that heading into a weekend. We've done well enough here, folks. No need to try and play the slot machine unless if you're doing it on tiny size, and go ahead, have fun. UMAC is pushing up a little bit. All right, there's a couple more I'll take a look at here, lightning round, before we finish up. UMAC, we're going to pass on that. The Pfizer trade, holding up pretty well. It's not up more than 5% today, but it's still doing great on the swing. So this is a day/swing trading watch list, and specifically we'll tell you about the trades if they're good swings or not. But like Oscar's setting up to be one potentially. Iron has been one, and we all know that. Pfizer has been a great swing trade, and we know that, but there could be room for even more, right? I think that was pretty much it. Folks. Maybe there was one last one. Wasn't there? UMAC, I think we passed on. Yeah. SES going back up a little bit here. This is up 15%. This is a Bitcoin stock too. This SES is a Bitcoin mining stock, if I'm not mistaken. So it is going back up. It's up more than 5%. It's not right near the high of the day, but pretty close still percentage wise. You got resistance there right at 210. So if I can make room for one more stock, we'll go SES, and that does it. All right, I will pretty this list up here, folks, for us in just a bit. There we go. Hey, folks, best of luck trading going into the market close. Bill with Jobby, it was pushing up just before. It's up, just about 3.7%. How many more are we going to add to our watch list, Bill? So we got Ondis moving up as well. We got Archer, which is the leader of those trades. We're going to focus on Archer, Bill. I'm rooting you on as always, but this is up more. This is the better trade for us to focus on for this afternoon. All right, folks, but hey, we'll be back on in just about 15 or so minutes. And then again, if you're on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc., hey, enjoy the weekend, right? It's what we train ourselves to do. At least take off early, enjoy the finer things, especially the weekend when the markets are closed. So we'll be back, bright and early on Monday morning. Good to go there. But again, if you're interested in joining us, a couple different ways to, continue along. If this is your first time on social media here today with us, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc., just make sure to hit the follow or subscribe button down below at Cyber Trading U. Otherwise, though, if you wanted to join us inside our live trading room, basically skip the queue, as I say, join Bill, join Grant, join Roberto and Chuck, John, Jeff, Albert, Farzad, Anna. Got about 92 of us joining us right now. Just make sure to go right down to the link scrolling on the bottom below, that blue banner there. As I like to say, some good old alliteration in that line. ctu.co/trial is the link right there. Just make sure you go to it, subscribe, and then join us inside our live trading room there. So best of luck going into the close for all of us here. I'll be here in the chat, at least. Otherwise, just talking to you via text. You'll get Rich on the mic taking you into the close.